So do you remember flicking through the massive yellow pages like it was basically the internet in book form? So every household had one, right? It was shoved somewhere near the phone table that we've spoken about before, or maybe underneath the coffee table. But somehow back in those days, everyone thought it was perfectly normal to have their full name, address, phone number printed for the entire country to see. So, like, if you fancied someone, half the detective work was just done because you could just look up their surname in the phone book. I remember doing prank calls. I know I shouldn't say that to random numbers out of boredom sometimes, right? Because there was nothing else to do on the weekends. And there was always one family who paid that extra directory. Do you remember being directory?
Yeah.
Which seemed very mysterious because you could pay not to be included. But it was magically wonderful too because it had all your local plumbers, your pet shops, whatever you wanted, right? But the thing that I would like to just discuss is the difference between nowadays where we're also scared of our private information, you know, GDPR and everything, where back in the day it was all printed for everyone to see and we didn't think it was, you know, wrong at all. So how did we get from sharing every piece of information about us to the entire country to then suddenly want to lock down everything? Even our Facebook profiles were very, you know, territorial about don't want to tell anyone our name or our birth date. How did we make that journey from being so open to now 20 years later locking everything down?
I have a theory.
What do you think?
I have two. I have one theory that dares to suggest that there were probably less nutters around back then than there are now. Secondly, I think there was no possibility of hacking. And now we live in a time, don't we, where we know that a lot of our personal information and stuff is supposed to be secure online. A lot of people have to do online banking, all sorts of stuff. And when your personal information is out there, then people can try and have a stab at hacking into stuff. It's like on Facebook, I don't have my real birthday listed because for a lot of people, if they've got a 6-number PIN code, they just use their birthday and it's a dead giveaway. So I think there are two things there. I'd like to think there were less nutters back then who might look up my surname in the phone directory or the yellow pages if it's a business and then come knocking at the door and wanting to be a bit leery. Not the case now because there seems to be lots of incredibly weird people about. But also, we were less scared of sharing our personal information because I don't think it could be abused in the way that it can be abused now.
Being ex-directory feels like a Worthing thing. Didn't you have the extra cash to be ex-directory in Worthing?
This idea that you think Worthing was somehow flush back in the 80s and 90s is quite endearing.
Wait. Pink pavements and bandstands?
Well, the pink pavements.
Manicured lawns.
Well, every seaside resort had that. Eastbourne had that.
Yeah, did not.
It
Worthing
did.
stood alone as the pink pavement paradise of the South Coast. And it was so special that Joe Brown and his brothers used to come down on Lambrettas.
All right.
Just to enjoy the sophisticated air and atmos of
Do you know that Worthing had one of the UK's first offices for the British Union of Fascists?
I thought it was Chelsea.
Chelsea came later. It was Worthing. And Mosley and his brown shirts, weren't they brown shirts or black shirts? Had a massive meeting at the Pavilion, which is at the beginning of Worthing Pier, and then tried to get back to their offices that were in, I think it was just off Warwick Street, and there was a massive ruck.
Yes.
Where a load of people who just went, we don't like you here, and there's a massive punch-up on Chapel Road.
Yes.
So, I don't know, is that a connection between Worthing's bandstands and manicured lawns and fascism?
Well, I had an Auntie Gladys and an Uncle Max who lived in Worthing, and
Right.
I got taken down to see them. It was painful.
Right.
Because it was so formal and China tea, cup and saucer and that sort of thing. And that's sort of painted the picture of Worthing.
Right.
For me, they had a sausage dog called Henry, inevitably. They had every single, hyacinth bouquet affectation.
Yeah.
Bless them.
Yeah.
But what I almost said a moment ago is this, my Yellow Pages story. I started a little business teaching people how to broadcast. Didn't work. Anyway, I took out a select number. You know, you can buy a fancy telephone number.
Yep.
So I had something like 5333.
Right.
Okay. But it was the same number as a now defunct roofing contractor.
Excellent.
who had a quarter-page ad in the ongoing Yellow Pages. So at least 15 times during the first week that this was ongoing, did my phone ring in the studio, and it was somebody who wanted a bit of tiling work. Right? So I felt like saying to a builder I know, how about if I shove the work your way, can I have 10%?
Yeah.
But what happened was I got a phone call, and it was late a Friday afternoon, and it was the eternal little old lady, and she was in a panic because she had to go north to one of her grandchildren's weddings, and she was single, and the flat roof had started leaking, and she was worried it was going to rain and she would come home to a flooded house. And I didn't have the heart to tell her that I wasn't a roofer. And I knew what to do because I know how to slap on a bit of that rubber paint that you can get for flat roofs. So I went round. It was down on the south coast. Where was it? It was Littlehampton somewhere. And I looked at the damage and I said, I'm just going to nip to the wholesalers. So I went to whatever it was, Home Base, and bought a tub of this liquid rubber. And when I got back, she said to me, "You're not a roofer, are you?" And she was worried that I was, casing the joint, having her told me that she was going away for the weekend. And I had to beg her and persuade her not to call the police, not to panic. I was just somebody who, from time to time, out of vanity, liked to do a good deed. But that's my little Yellow.
Well, that's a nice story.
It
is interesting because up until recently, I can only presume it's because this particular painter and decorator have now got a website. So when people go online, and it says, basically the telephone symbol appears and you can click it and then it'll automatically, if you're searching on your phone, just connect you. But up until about 2 years ago, we used to get probably once, if not twice a week, a call to our landline. We still have a landline, Hayley. You'll like this. I still have a proper old-fashioned telephone that makes a ringing noise.
What, the ones where you dial it in a circle, the number?
Yeah, got one of
you
those.
have to go one backwards and forwards, two backwards and wow.
Got one of those. It's great. And it would ring in the hall. And it was quite interesting from the point of view of people's inability to communicate in a decent way with their fellow human being, because no one would say hello.
No.
They'd just start going, my windows need doing.
Yeah.
And I'd have to just go, I think you've misdialed, mate. This is a private residence. And he went, you're not the painters or decorators? It's like, no, because I've just told you you've misdialed.
And somehow it's your fault.
Yeah. Oh. You're right. It's my fault. It's my fault for picking up the phone.
They never say sorry about that. I've wasted your time. Never.
No.
You guys are in the company of the only man you'll ever meet who used to be able to, and probably still could, tear a telephone directory in half.
No.
A la circus strongman. Yes, sirree, Bob. Because my dad was a circus strongman.
No.
And there's a knack to it.
Wow.
And what you do is you grip the telephone directory by the spine, okay? And you put your fists quite close together and you snap.
Oh, you don't
see?
tear, you snap.
No, you snap the spine, and then you're able to, just using ordinary brute force, pull the thing apart. But as long as nobody sees you snap the spine, you see, they think you're a big, strong guy.
Yeah.
So it used to be a little party piece that I used to sort of wheel out if my chat-up lines weren't going very well. Really.
Can you still get hold
When's the
of...
last time you tried it?
Yeah. When did you last try it?
Well, the last time we had a telephone directory in the house, which was probably back in the days of black and white telly, I suppose.
Well, I was wondering, is it still possible? I know they don't make them anymore. They don't produce telephone directories, and they haven't done for 20 years, I think. But can you still get hold of old ones anywhere? I quite like the idea of having a telephone directory for the southeast of England, or it used to be Brighton, Hove and the south coast down here, didn't it, I think, or Portsmouth and the surrounding areas. I'd love to get hold of one of those, an old telephone directory, just to have a leaf through.
There's an American comedian, I forget his name now, who roasts people. Have you ever seen any of these roasts? Where they tear into a celebrity and really abuse them almost, and the celebrities take it as an enormous compliment that they have been roasted in public. And when he roasts Martin Scorsese, the film director, and he starts going on about Scorsese's eyebrows, because they are huge. They are in the same quadrant as Dennis Healy, if anybody goes back that far. But Martin Scorsese is famously only about 4'10", really. And he's sitting up at the top table. And Don Rickles, that's his name. Don Rickles is down in the well of the audience, roasting Martin Scorsese. And he starts, and then he says, somebody get him a phone book so he can see me. And the reason it's funny is because I think people did used to sit children on cushions and telephone directories just so that they could see over the table. So it's a nice little line. And of course, Scorsese thinks it's hilarious, but probably hates it. But anyway, telephone directories.
What was when you used to used to prank call people, Hayley, what kind of prank calls were you doing?
Oh, do you know what? It was just really boring. We would either laugh down the phone, or we had one of those. I think it was me, had one of those little like calculator things where you pressed a button and it made like some kind of stupid sound effect.
Right.
Like a whoopee cushion or something, you know, like obviously when you were 8, you thought that was bloody hilarious, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess no one does that anymore.
When you worked
Maybe
in
they
radio,
do.
Hayley, and Tom, I'll ask you the question as
Yes.
well, because I think it should be a rich vein of chat. When you worked in radio, Hayley, were you ever, when people used to phone up the radio show that you might have been producing, did you ever suffer a prank call?
Oh, yes, but the problem is what they do is, you know what it's like at a radio station, you can save people's names against a phone number.
Yeah.
So to be honest, it didn't really work regularly because it might work the first time, potentially, but then the next time they called, it just comes up on the screen saying prank caller. But sometimes it was fun. If it was late at night and we weren't getting that many callers, we'd still put them through, to be honest, just for the entertainment value, the cheap entertainment value. Because sometimes they're a bit harmless, right? I mean, you can get the ones that take it too far and try and swear and stuff, but sometimes they're actually a little bit funny.
I managed to get George Best's home telephone number, and this gave me great credit because I was able to swap it for somebody else's telephone number with every journalist in the newsroom, right? So I went home that night, and we had a few. I was living in a student flat. There were 5 of us. And we phoned famous people. Margaret Thatcher.
That's like a reverse prank call then, isn't it? That's a reverse of it. Amazing.
I phoned Margaret Thatcher, but she didn't answer. It was Dennis on his bedside phone, right? And he just went,
oh my gosh.
Like that. And I knew straight away it was Dennis Thatcher. I can't remember what we said. I think we actually got embarrassed and put the phone down. Then we phoned Joe Bugner, who was then the British heavyweight boxing champion. He had a couple of pops at Muhammad Ali, I think, who had a Hungarian accent, and he was not pleased. And then we phoned Telly Savalas, who was in his caravan on the Kojak lot.
Wow.
And it was 6 o'clock in the evening, because it was wherever it was, midnight, where we were. And he was very friendly. I said, we're not ringing with anything in mind. We've just got your telephone number. We're a bunch of students. Well, I was a journalist, but it was good cover. And he said, okay, baby, are there any women there? And there were 2 women. A lovely lady called Jane, and my wife also called Jane. So I handed it to the other Jane, and he flirted with her for 20 minutes. And we were paying for the call to Los Angeles. Yeah. And I heard her going, oh, no. Oh, that would be nice. Oh, you don't. Oh, isn't that nice? Yes. So and now, my friend who's a private detective taught me how to get to people's telephone numbers. And he was he had lots of dodges there. What you do is you phone up and you say, could GPO send round a technician? Because you've dropped your phone on the kitchen floor and it's shattered and you need a new one and you're calling from such and such, somebody else's phone. And he said, and they always say, can we just check your details? Do you still live at Baytree House, Manchester? And is your telephone number 01? And they read it to him. And so I tried it and I got George Best's own telephone number like that. I know. Wow. But he did something brilliant once. You know those rotary phones?
Who's this?
A private detective.
Not George Best.
No.
Okay, right.
No. George Best is a slightly less educated man, but a nice man, actually. Anyway, So you know the rotary phones?
Yeah.
He found out how they work. He was tracking somebody down and he managed to find the woman's mother. So he went round to her house and asked if she could give him the address of her daughter. And of course the woman said no. And then she said, I'm just going to make a phone call. And she went out into the hall. And he knew that she was phoning her daughter to warn her that a private detective was looking for her. So what he did, and he knew how to do, and I was subsequently able to do it, but had no need to do it, you count the number of almost silent clicks.
Yeah.
If you put your finger in the number 9 and wind it all the way round and let it go, you will hear 9 clicks. Tick, tick, tick,
Yes,
tick,
of course.
as it goes back. If you dial a 1, you will just hear tick. Okay? And that is an electric signal going to the exchange telling it what number has just been dialed. And he was able to sit in the living room and count the clicks and get the daughter's home telephone number, which he then used to find out where she lived and get hold of her.
Genius.
He got it all passed on to him by the bosses of his agency, all of whom were former Met boys,
Right.
who knew all these things inside out.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you answer the phone? Do you give your number or
Well, not now because I know who's calling. But you're right.
on your landline?
I just say hello.
Right.
But in the old
Worthing 212 or something like that.
In the older days, you would answer it. Hang on. Hello, Worthing 249237.
Yeah.
That's how you'd answer the phone. That's how you pick it up to confirm that was the telephone number that you were at, and that's what they dialed.
Yes, because if you're making a phone call from a public box, it was fourpence. It was when I was a boy, and you had to press button B when you got through and you wanted to spend the money. But if you'd accidentally dialed the wrong number or the machinery hadn't worked correctly and they'd put you through to somebody else, you would hear them say their number, realise that it was the wrong number, and you'd put the phone down and you'd get your fourpence back.
I never knew that.
There.
Well, so what was the difference then? And I'm a little bit too young to have used a telephone box that had this as an option. But what were the differences between buttons A and B? Because I've seen those. I've seen those in museums. What did the A do?
I think the A is if you're through and you want to take the call and spend the fourpence.
Okay.
I think the B is if you want your fourpence back.
Understood. That's interesting.
Vaguely.
My father-in-law, who's no longer alive, who lived in Shropshire, in the wilds of Shropshire, used to answer the phone by giving his address. He'd go, 8 Denham, David Edwards speaking, and it was a lovely thing to hear. One Saturday afternoon, we were watching the rugby, and he didn't answer the phone that way. The phone rang, he picked it up, and he just went, "Are you not aware there's a bloody rugby match going on?" and put the phone down.
Oh, brilliant.
Brilliant.
Did you ever use a landline, Hayley, or are you too young? I mean,
Yeah. No, definitely did. And I remember trying to hog it when I was growing up to talk to my friends. And then when the internet came along, I wanted to hog it to be able to go on the internet and do, I don't know, whatever I did, school homework or whatever. But of course, in those days, you relied on the phone being free. So then my mum would shout up saying, "Get off that bloody computer. I want to use the phone to call your auntie or something." So, yeah, it was a tug and war.
You now think back to what we used to have to do to use the internet, which was, as you rightly identify, take your phone out of the socket, put your computer cable in, and then very painfully and slowly use a modem that would click away to try and get connection. And if you dared to try and download something, or you went to a website and you kind of wanted to, and the website would take minutes to download, not seconds, not nanoseconds.
The progress bar never moved.
Yeah, and you'd always get half a picture that are downloaded. And you think to where we are now, it's just extraordinary how it's changed in the last 30 years.
And how impatient we are now. So if I have to wait for a website to load more than 1 or 2 seconds, that's it. I've given up. I've gone on to the next website. You know, our temperament and our tolerance is literally zero. Well, mine is anyway.
I just remembered what's jumped into my mind, these conversations about phones. Having a more than passing interest in the origins of words and the way in which they're used. I came across the story behind the word hello, which owes its very existence to the telephone. Would you believe?
Go on.
When they first invented telephones, this is probably going back 100 years, one was installed in the home of an admiral, a naval man, and he didn't know how to answer the phone. There were no public phone boxes, so there's no point him saying Bletchington Hall for one. So he used what they use at sea if there's fog and the yacht doesn't have a foghorn. Someone would stand at the front of the yacht and make this noise. Hello! Hello! And it's a sort of a warning noise. And so he started answering his phone like that. So his phone would ring. He'd wheel his gout-ridden frame to the phone. He would pick it up and go, hello! And it gradually caught on. And then its use spread beyond answering the phone and into general parlance as a greeting. Not that I say hello very often. In fact, I hardly think I ever say hello. Or maybe I sort of say, oh, hello, like that. But that's how the word came into being, which is, again, vaguely interesting.
It's very interesting. I've learned something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we better cut and run then.
Yeah, I think so.
Overdo it.
Don't want to go down this path too often.
What you said, Hayley, you had more than one idea.
I had two and a half ideas. Yeah, just because, anyway, my second idea is holiday photos, because I'm going on holiday in about a month's time to Tenerife. Can't wait. Wasn't there a time when you would pack in your luggage a little camera, and then when you got home, you'd have the films and you'd take them to be developed? And it was basically an exercise in patience and emotional risk, wasn't it? Because it was the thinking, oh God, I wonder what the photos are going to look like when they come back. So you'd come back from holiday with this roll of film and, be convinced that you captured like award-winning photos, only to find out that you'd taken a picture of the floor or your finger or something. Do you remember that? Like wasting, because I remember it was quite expensive. You think, I just wasted like £10 on half a load of pictures of my finger. But there was, because you couldn't check the previews. Right now you can take 10 pictures and doesn't matter, right? But getting the film back from Boots or wherever you went, I just feel like that was a whole journey, wasn't it, in itself, after the holiday. And in a way that was a nice thing, because it almost extended the holiday, because when you got back there was that week or two waiting for the pictures to come back, and then you would sit down with your family and reminisce over the pictures. But because now you see the pictures while you're there in your destination, there's no, you don't elongate the time, do you? You kind of get back from holiday and that's it. It's done. You've seen the pictures. And I just wondered if you guys remember getting your pictures back from Boots and sitting through them with your family.
It's a nice way of looking at it. We never took it to a shop. We used to send them off in the post. It was a company called True Print.
Oh, yes.
And I know this.
Yes.
I remember this because in some, I say a case, some kind of, storage box at home, I've got dozens of True Print kind of envelopes, which have got pictures in from various holidays in the past when I was a kid. And you used to get these prepaid envelopes, didn't you? Mm-hmm. You used to take the film out the back of the camera. If it was an Instamatic, I think it was a 110 film, slightly long with 2 rolls at the end, and you'd pop that in the prepaid envelope, and you'd obviously have your name and address on there as well, and you'd ping it off, and then 10 days' time you get your pickies back. Which, you're right, Hayes, is a really good way of looking at it, because it does extend the holiday. Well, it did extend the holiday. And also, I should imagine, was a bit of a memory jogger for some people, going, oh, I don't remember that picture being taken.
The first photo booth I ever saw was at Brighton Station.
Oh, that was my 0.5 of an idea. So you've nicked it. I said I had 2.5 ideas.
We've done this before.
My half idea was a photo booth.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure if we'd done it before, which is why it was only half an idea and I didn't give myself the full point, you see.
The photo booth at Brighton Station became renowned because a broadcaster who will remain nameless, although he's probably no longer with us, was caught around about midnight in the photo booth on Brighton Station with another person. And I was always intrigued because the curtain only came down halfway. So what they were doing, it was from the waist up. I couldn't work that one out.
Was this a male broadcaster?
Yes.
And another male broadcaster?
I don't know who the second party was.
Oh.
But I used to stand and watch people going in and out of the photo booth at Brighton Station, and I saw a pattern exist. If the person who was having their photograph taken were on their own, they would stand around looking sheepish whilst it was developing. And you know, it used to come down that little slot.
Yeah.
And when it came down, they would grab it, they would look at it, then they would look furtively away to make sure nobody was watching them. They would waft it in the air to dry it. And then they would conceal it about their person and walk away as if they hadn't just had their photograph taken. If they were with any other people, right, say, you know, a bunch of 3 girls, the one who was having her photograph taken would wait for the photo to drop, push the others out the way, pull it out, look at it, and then always roar with laughter and show it to her 2 friends, but not let them touch it. And they would go a mixture of sort of laughing and sort of, like that. And it was this that I can remember vividly. It first got me interested in this strange thing, which is human nature, because those patterns of behaviour were rigid, and yet, well, they were slightly explicable, but also slightly inexplicable. And I've been collecting those sort of curiosities ever since.
I've got a photo booth story. I was in a relationship with a young woman called Suzanne, who I treated appallingly, actually, on hindsight, because we split up because she was coming back from university one weekend and said, "I'd like to see you." And I said, "I'm going to the pub." And she rightly told me that I was a so-and-so, and it unraveled quite quickly. However, we had we used to take it in turns to see each other, and we always used to travel. So she was somewhere in, I want to say, she was at university somewhere on the outskirts of London, and I can't remember where. But we always used to come back to Victoria Station, and I'd get the train back from Victoria down to Worthing, and there was a photo booth there. And I remember it because it was quite sweet. We sat in the photo booth together, and we had a bit of a snog, whilst pictures were... It's going to sound really gross. While the pictures were being taken. It wasn't anything, you know, it's just very affectionate, looking at the camera as well. And then when the pictures came out, managed to tear the pictures, because they came in shots of 4, didn't they? Strips of 4 pictures. Tear it in half, and she took 2 and I took 2.
Oh, that's a good story.
And I'm sorry, Suzanne, if you ever find yourself listening to this, because I would have been, 21 years old. I was a bit of a tit, really.
And she tore you in half for it.
Yeah, probably. It's really burned. She got a cigarette lighter out and burned those 2 pictures.
Sorry, we've stolen your thunder here, Hayley. This was your idea.
Yes.
The photo booth.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, I'm enjoying listening to the stories. It's all good. I remember squeezing into one at a train station. I think it was at Marylebone, because I went to school in Marylebone, and there was a ticket booth there. And often on like days when you had a bit of extra pocket money or whatever, we'd take it in turns. There was like 4 or 5 of us girls, all kind of best mates, like a little gang. And either kind of during lunch break or whatever, we'd go to the station, go in there, and we'd all cram in it. So you remember it was tiny. I mean, you really probably could only fit 2 people in it, but somehow we got like 4 of us in it taking silly pictures, but somehow they always ended up either too bright, too dark, or someone was caught mid-blink. And then because it was kind of expensive in that time, people would say, "Oh, we're going to have to leave it till next week to try again." There was no kind of phone cameras where if you didn't like a picture you could take it again. This was like one and done type thing. And then I remember everyone kind of took 1 each, and then we'd shove them into our purses or wallets, or give one to our mum if we liked it, as kind of a little thing that you'd keep in your wallet. I don't know if I've still got 1 picture in my purse, I think, of my mum, a photo booth picture that I keep in my purse, which is kind of like, now I'm thinking of it, do we do that anymore? Do we keep pictures in our purses anymore? I don't know.
Well, I've got a picture
somehow
of my
the curtain.
daughter. Sorry, go on.
Oh, yeah, you do. No, go on.
I was going to say, I've got a
tell me.
picture of my daughter as a baby in my wallet.
That's nice. Yeah, so that's like something we don't do anymore. But yeah, somehow the curtain made you feel like you were stepping out of a VIP club, didn't it? Like after you'd taken your picture, you kind of step out like you'd been somewhere important. But yeah, I just don't know. I'm trying to think if I've seen one survive.
They still knock around. Listen, if you've got any memories of photo booths, or indeed if you're listening to us on YouTube or Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and you still have a landline or a rotary old-fashioned telephone, or anything else we chatted about, do let us know. You can get in contact on email. It's a Gmail email address. It's ramblingretrononsense, which is all one word. So it's ramblingretrononsense@gmail.com. And you can WhatsApp anything you like, even voice notes, and we'll play them out. 07405 341 500, 07405 341 500. If you are listening to us on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. And wherever you might be listening to this podcast, please rate, review, share, subscribe, and we'll love you forever. Until next time, thank you.